Every detector you own reads 2 meters deep at best. That is the ceiling, 2 meters. But right now, underneath the feet of prospectors across 3 continents, blind insects smaller than your thumbnail are drilling 30 meters straight down through buried gold veins and carrying raw particles back to the surface. In 2012, a team of CSIRO geologists, led by Aaron Stewart, published findings from the Yilgarn Craton in Western Australia, proving that termite mound soil contained 6 times the gold concentration of the surrounding earth. 6 times. Not a trace. Not a statistical blip. A measurable, pannable concentration brought up from depths no handheld device on the market can reach. By the end of this, you will know 5 natural signs that the ground beneath you is hiding gold and gems. How to read each one using a $15 pan, an $8 magnet, and a $22 rock pick. And why 70% of all significant placer gold ever recovered came from one specific type of surface that most prospectors walk directly over without stopping. That 6 times figure from the CSIRO study did not come from guesswork. Stewart's team collected samples across hundreds of termite mounds in known mineral country and compared them against control soil at matched distances. The termites, which prospectors in the Arabic tradition call arda, are functionally blind. They cannot see the gold. They do not want it. But their survival depends on reaching groundwater, and the fastest path to groundwater runs through fractured rock. The same fractured rock where hydrothermal fluids deposited gold millions of years before the colony existed. So the insects drill 20 meters, 30 meters, through clay, through gravel, through quartz vein material carrying dissolved gold. They bring that clay back to the surface and pack it into the mound walls. The gold particles ride along, trapped in the cement-hard matrix at the very top of the structure. The field test is almost insultingly simple. Use a $15 Keene 10-inch gold pan from any prospecting supply store. Take a thumb-sized pinch from the top of a large cement-hard mound in mineral-known ground only. Crush it between your fingers until it breaks into fine powder. Wash it with a gentle circular motion in any nearby creek. If you see color settling in the bottom crease of the pan, that color came from depth, not surface contamination. Depth. The mound just told you what is underneath 30 meters of overburden that your detector cannot penetrate. But the mound is not the only signal nature leaves on the surface. Therefore, every serious field prospector needs to understand the second indicator, which is cheaper to read and covers far more ground in a single afternoon. Black sand, magnetite, and hematite. The dark, heavy grains that settle in low-energy pockets of any flowing creek. If you are finding gold and gems in rivers and creeks, subscribe now, because every week I break down the exact field tests, locations, and geology that separates serious prospectors from people carrying expensive equipment through empty ground. Black sand shares a critical physical property with gold. Density. Both materials are dramatically heavier than surrounding gravel and quartz. Therefore, when water velocity drops, whether behind a boulder, inside a bend, or along a shelf, black sand and gold settle in exactly the same micro-locations. The physics do not care about your intentions. They care about specific gravity. Controlled placer sampling across multiple historic mining districts confirmed that areas with visible black sand accumulation produce 3 to 10 times more fine gold than areas without it. The USGS documented this relationship systematically in the motherlode placer fields of Tuolumne County, California during the 1850s. Their survey teams mapped black sand concentration against recovered gold weight per cubic yard, and the correlation held across every creek system they tested. The field confirmation uses an $8 rare earth magnet from any hardware store. Drag it slowly through your pan, concentrate after washing. Magnetite pulls away cleanly, separating from the non-magnetic fraction. What remains in the bottom of the pan includes any gold weight material the creek has been trapping at that exact location. If black sand is thick but no gold appears, that location has trapping capacity. But the source material upstream may not contain gold. Therefore, you need to read upstream for the next indicator. Now here is where most prospectors make their most expensive mistake. They focus on gravel. They dig gravel bars. They process bucket after bucket of loose alluvial material and wonder why their returns stay measured in flakes instead of pickers. But the historical record tells a completely different story. Over 70% of larger placer gold recovered from historic districts came from bedrock surfaces and cracks, not gravel. Bedrock. In the Dutch Creek Placer district of Boise County, Idaho, during the 1880s, miners figured this out the hard way. They spent weeks processing gravel bars on the same stream reach and pulled modest returns. Then, one crew switched tools. They put down their shovels, picked up crowbars and chisels, and started cleaning bedrock cracks in a single 1 square meter section of fractured schist. That 1 square meter produced more gold per session than the weeks of gravel processing combined. The reason is physics. Cracks perpendicular to current direction cause water velocity to collapse suddenly. Microeddies form inside the fracture. Pressure drops. Gold, being 19.3 times denser than water, sinks into those cracks with each flood event and gets pressed deeper by the next high water cycle. Smooth polished bedrock holds almost nothing because there is nowhere for heavy material to lodge. But fractured, jagged, irregular rock with cracks cutting across the flow direction is a natural rifle box that has been operating for thousands of years without human intervention. The field test requires a $22 Estwing rock pick. Chip along crack edges. Fresh fractures show sharp angular surfaces. Those fresh breaks indicate active geological movement and current trapping geometry. Polished worn rock shows smooth rounded edges. Smooth rock means the creek has already cleaned that surface and moved the material downstream. But bedrock cracks raise a deeper question. Where did the gold come from before the creek ever touched it? Therefore, you need to read the fourth indicator, which tells you where the original source vein existed. Angular quartz with iron staining. This is a free visual test that requires no equipment at all. Look for white quartz that is broken into sharp, angular pieces, not rounded river cobbles, and coated with orange to rust-colored staining. That orange staining is limonite, which forms when iron sulfide minerals oxidize at the surface. Iron sulfide and gold are deposited by the same geological process. Hydrothermal fluid is hot water rising through fractured rock under pressure, carrying dissolved minerals from deep in the crust. When that fluid cools or encounters a pressure change, gold precipitates out of solution alongside iron sulfide inside quartz veins. Millions of years of weathering oxidize the sulfide to limonite, creating that rust-orange signal visible from 10 meters away. The key distinction is angularity. Rounded quartz cobbles have traveled far from their source. Angular. Broken quartz has not. It sits close to or directly above the vein system that generated it. Nearly all placer gold in every creek system on Earth originated from quartz-bearing hydrothermal systems upstream. Therefore, reading the quartz tells you which direction to walk to find the source zone. Follow the angular, iron-stained pieces uphill. When they become more concentrated and more angular, you are approaching the vein itself. And this brings us to the fifth signal, which combines biology and geology into what I consider the strongest free indicator nature produces. Deep-rooted vegetation convergence zones. In arid and semi-arid mineral country, certain trees survive by sending roots deep into rock fissures to reach groundwater. Mesquite in the American Southwest. Creosote in the Mojave. acacia and tamarisk across African and Middle Eastern mineral belts. These roots follow water. The water follows fractures. The fractures are the same pathways where gold-bearing hydrothermal fluids deposited their payload millions of years ago. When you find a mature, deep-rooted tree with a termite mound built at its base in known mineral country, you are looking at a triple convergence. The tree confirms deep water access through fractured rock. The termite mound confirms that the colony is drilling through mineral-bearing clay. The regional geology confirms that gold-bearing systems existed in this area. That triple convergence is not a guarantee. Nothing in prospecting is a guarantee. But it narrows your search area from square kilometers to square meters without a single piece of electronic equipment. The clay seal is the final detail that explains why some of these convergence spots keep producing gold long after surrounding areas are cleaned out. During high-energy flood events, gold gets forced through gravel and pressed into bedrock fractures by sheer hydraulic pressure. Fine clay settles last after the flood energy drops, forming a tight seal over the crack. That seal preserves the gold underneath for the next prospector who knows to look for irregular bedrock, pry up the clay cap, and clean the fracture beneath it. The trap is effective. The gold supply is not replenishing. The trap simply works better than human hands at holding on to heavy material. I want to be direct about what these 5 signs do and do not promise. Termite mound gold particles are microscale. You will not find nuggets in a mound. The mound is a scouting tool that tells you what exists at depth so you can decide whether a location justifies deeper work. Black sand confirms trapping capacity, but not gold volume. A creek can trap magnetite beautifully and still yield only trace gold. The power of these indicators lives in convergence. One sign alone is a maybe. 2 signs together are worth investigating. 3 or more signs in the same 50-meter stretch of creek is where experienced prospectors stop walking and start working. The ground has always been speaking. The termites have always been drilling. The black sand has always been settling in the same pockets as gold. The quartz has always been staining orange, where hydrothermal systems ran hot. Most prospectors walk past every one of these signals because they are looking down at a screen instead of reading the landscape that has been advertising its contents for free since before any of us were born. The real question is not whether there is gold beneath your feet. The real question is whether you have learned to read what the ground is already telling you.